Former Speaker of the National Assembly, Max Sisulu, described the veteran lawyer as a father to many. The couple were paying tribute to the icon. Elinor Sisulu joins us now. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us, Sis Elinor, and condolences to you as well.
Thank you very much, and condolences to the Bizos family, his three sons, Alexi, Damon, and Kimon, and I believe the 7 grandchildren, and the entire community.
You say your first interaction with George Bizos was when you were writing a book about Ntate Walter Sisulu. So tell us about that interaction.
Yes, well, George was an authority on the Rivonia trial. He was the youngest lawyer at the time, and so he was able to describe in great detail what happened. And of course, they were clients, but at the same time, they were political comrades as well. And he was able to describe the whole assembling of the team. And as you know, they were just an extraordinary team of lawyers. Bram Fisher, Joel Joffe, Vernon Baranje, I think Harold Hansen. So if I remember correctly, George was the one who approached Joel Joffe to take on the case. So he was the youngest, but he played quite an important role. And he, being the wonderful storyteller he told the story of the case. And I think of particular interest to me was Walter Sisulu's evidence over a period of 5 days. And George would explain how the discussion around whether the decision was that Nelson Mandela would not be cross-questioned but would make a statement from the dock, and that Walter Sisulu would bear the brunt of the cross-questioning. And George would describe how there was a debate, and they said, no, Walter Sisulu can't do it. He's not educated. He hasn't been beyond high school. And I think it was George who had the confidence, who said, no, he can do it. And then George would describe how Walter took on Percy Utah over this very grueling cross-examination over 5 days, which played a major part in them averting the death sentence. And then he would go on, to the different people in the trial. George had a very detailed knowledge of those events, and as a result I spent a far longer time than I should have, because that was only part of a couple of chapters in the book. And I think because of George, and I really cherished that opportunity to go and sit with George and talk with him and on a one-to-one basis.
You were saying earlier on that this year, 2020, has robbed us of our history. We've lost Dennis Goldberg. This year we lost Andrew Mlangeni. And this is a person who had a great deal of energy and a great deal of knowledge to share, as you say. What should we be remembering about him, beyond the obvious, his contribution to law, his contribution to human rights, but him as a person, the values and principles that he espoused?
Well, his contribution to social justice, and, the fact that George transcended racial, religious differences. He was a person who embraced everybody. He didn't suffer fools gladly, and he didn't suffer intolerance. He was strong, but at the same time, he was a very loving person. And I must pay tribute to his family as well, to his wife. She was a homemaker. But I think the kind of home that he had enabled him to do the work that he did. And that there were sacrifices from his family. And I think I really must pay tribute to them for for supporting George all those years and for being a home base for him.
Thank you so much for sharing your memories with us. Thank you so much for speaking to us, human rights activist Elinor Sisulu.